Alrighty then, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Sunny here, back with another Neverwinter video, guys. And today we're going to be discussing my Sentinel build for the I was about to call it the Barbarian. I caught myself before I said it. So if you guys like this video, make sure to hit that like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, letting me know how this build helps you guys, or if I missed something, or you do something differently. You know what I mean? I'm always down for thoughts and opinions, because the more information that's out there, the better everybody can be as a whole in the community. So without further ado, let's just jump into it. For the left side, I'm not gonna even try to pronounce some of these names, but you can see right here. But I still use darks in my utility for the companion influence, because this is not my primary build. So I guess maybe if you were just a pure Barbarian Sentinel, you might want to think about running the tacticals for the incoming healing. For the chest, I run the negation enchantment still. Uh, you can run the Elven Battle. It's pretty nice, so you're more decreased to stuns and more stamina. Uh, Regen, so that's probably going to be your best bet. Here's my arms. I still use the Alabaster. I still got a Vorpal enchantment. Probably best in slot for a tank is the Bronze Wood, but unfortunately I don't have that. For my boots, my shirt and pants. The shirt and pants are kind of personal preference. Wherever you're lacking in those stats, I guess you would pick the shirt and the pants you would need. For my artifact set, I went with the chain restraint. For when you use a daily power, you will take 5% less damage and will do 5% more to enemies for 10 seconds. The big thing we get here is the huge increase in the stats over, you can use the Wyvern set where you create an empowering, but the same thing, you use a daily power. In this game, the dailies don't even come back that quickly, but I guess if you want it to be like super supporty, that'd probably be more beneficial to give an ally, uh, of course, the 5,000 more power and increase their outgoing damage by 5%. For the main artifacts, these are what I run. Now, unfortunately, like I said, my DPS was my main, so maybe you might want to switch out, of course, the Orcus and the Decanter for the Sigil of the Oathbound. That new Drift Globe, I will think it is. That it's pretty much one of the new artifacts, but it's a defensive one. That's another really good, so that's what I would probably switch out here. The rings, kind of what I used to get my stats to where they're at. My offense and defense, I still run Radiance. And a couple of my offense, I do have some Black Ice, but I guess for best in slot, you would want pure Radiance, especially in your defense. You're trying to get as much hit points as you possibly can. Moving on to my stats, I took Strength and Con. You maybe, uh, if you really wanted to get up that movement speed, you would take maybe a couple points out of Strength. Though I wouldn't really take any points out of the Constitution because hit points are pretty big for a tank, and we're trying to get as many as possible. Here are my stats. So if you're following this exact build, you copy everything that I have from, all my enchantments and everything, and your stats are going to start looking like this. But the biggest thing is making sure you meet the caps for each individual. So you want to make sure you hit that armor pen cap, 68k. I got my crit, 68 accuracy. It's a little bit over, but 68. Combat advantage is one of those things where the boots actually play a big part in that. You get it increased to 5%, so I'm not really too worried about that. Awareness, though, over the cap. Here's my utility bonuses real quick just to show you guys. Nothing crazy there. These are not too big. But anyway, we're going to move on to the powers. I use Mighty Leap, Indomitable Battle Strike, and Come and Get It. Savage Advanced and Battle High for my two dailies. For my wills, I use Sure Strike and Bounding Slam. Primarily, I do use the Sure Strike, but when the feet down here procs, I will use the Bounding Slam, which is kind of like a nice little AoE damage dealer. Since we're talking about the feats, let's get the class features out of the way first. Mighty Vitality for the 10% additional hit points, and then of course increased threat generation. Two no-brainers there. You can use Challenger's Charge instead of the Mighty Vitality, but then you would just have to switch out Downward Battle Strike, of course, for that move. But I do like that 10% extra hit points, I'm not going to lie. And I have no problem keeping the threat as it is now, so it's not really that big of a deal. Now we're going on to the feats. Like I said, I went with the Leap into Action, Sure Slam, Disarming Takedown, and that's where I'm going to get it to right now. Depending on if you really want to go super tanky, you can use Takedown on bosses. That's when I run that, so I'll get rid of Come and Get It and use Takedown instead. But you want to make sure that you use that when you're unstoppable, because that makes the targets take 10% more damage. So you want to make sure you try to pop that as much as possible while. Now you could do this where you can have two separate loadouts or one literally different feat change, where you can take on the move where you would use Not So Fast. And, you know, so say if you're doing like AoE, you can run Not So Fast, Mighty Leap, and Battle Strike maybe. Or, you know, you can play around. The big thing about the tank route is you can play around with a couple powers, you know what I mean? As long as you're dealing enough damage to keep that threat, it's not a big deal. And then Savage Advance, and then Extended Unstoppable. From what I hear, I believe Blood Fury doesn't work properly. So, if it did, it would probably be a pretty awesome feat. Going on to boons. This is what I picked. I think the big one here is the Master Boon. But the rest of them is kind of preference. You know, maybe you need the Armor Pen boon or the Crit Strike boon. So you would pick it, of course. The Guild Stronghold, I go for the Armor Pen just for that extra, because power is easy to obtain, but for some reason, when you're using a tank build, it's just harder to hit certain caps. So that 8 grand Armor Pen is huge. I use the hit points, of course. Utility, it doesn't matter, and then PvP, it doesn't matter. Moving on to companions, I still use the Bullet Pup. Got the bondings. I use 2 sturdy belts plus 4, and then 1 of the blade belts of the companion. I got this from doing the Underdark campaign. These you can just get off the auction house. For the kind of bonus, I went with this redemption on a chance to hit on a oh my goodness. Chance on a hit to heal you and your companion for 4%. Now the companion thing isn't really that big, but for you, for 4% over 15 seconds, you know. So if you can constantly proc that, you're always getting a nice little heal over time effect. For companions, I kind of just went ones that had, you know, defensive stats, like right here. Kind of see. You can look up these if you really wanted to get these exact ones. For the mounts, this is where things get a little bit tricky. I do have the Tensor's Disc that gives me 10 grand accuracy. Now, if you don't have the Tensor's Disc, it's going to be really hard to get that accuracy up to the cap. I'm not going to even sit here and lie. This is where things get a little tricky. And it sucks, though, because, you know, if you don't have this, then you're going to have to take from something else. Because accuracy, you know, where would I put that at? You know, if I take rid of this ring and put an accuracy ring here, then I'm going to lose out on the critical strike. So it's like you're going to have to play around there if you don't have that Tensor's Disc. It's going to be a little bit hard to get that accuracy, but it definitely is possible. Here's my stable. I use the Survivor's Blessing, Shepherd's Devotion, and I still really big on speed, because I like to be the first one there. So I use 3 Gladiator's Guiles. Shepherd Devotion is just a nice little bonus whenever I do have my daily. And for the rotation, there's pretty much not much to it. I kind of pop them as they come, you know. So I'll get that, Come and Get It. you know, and sure slam, and then it popped up, so I didn't know it. You know, and you just keep going. Well, there's not really much to that part of the aspect. The rotation is pretty easy. The biggest thing with being a tank in this module is making sure you meet the required stats, truthfully, because if you can meet the stats and, you know, you're not gonna, and you just run with a decent cleric, uh, and you know, are well enough to know when to use your encounter powers to keep that aggro on you, then you'll be fine as a tank. Right now, where I'm at, I'm not even like super endgame tanky, and I have no problem finishing loom even with a decent cleric. You know, if it's a great cleric, then of course it's even better. But yeah, you know, it's a little bit of a quicker video here. I didn't want to go too crazy with it because there's not really much to explain here. And you know, let me know if you guys like this video. If I missed something, let me know down in the comment box below, or if you think you do something a little differently, let me know, because you know, like I said, the more information everybody else knows, the more information as a whole the community will be better. And until next time, guys, it's been your boy Sunny.